My uncle got drunk at my engagement party and announced that my fiancé was only with me for the green card. Now my entire family is blaming me for destroying his marriage of 15 years because I jokingly responded to him by asking whether he was just concerned for me because the same thing happened to him. And now he's actually divorcing his wife because something clicked. I've been with my girlfriend for the past 3 years. We have been living together for the past 2 years. 2 weeks ago we got engaged. It's been the best decision of my life. I'm ready to spend the rest of my life with her, and she said yes, and I couldn't have been happier. Just for context, my wife is from India, and that makes no difference to me or my family, but for whatever reason my uncle likes to make a lot of jokes about it. I find it ridiculous because it's kind of weird and racist, but he always tries to make it look like it's funny. I've spoken about it. I've told him that it's not appropriate, but he insists that it's just jokes, so that's that. My wife and I respect him a lot though, because he did help us out about a year ago when we were in a bit of a tough spot financially. Anyway, because of that we do put up with him a lot, and we try not to take it to heart, because at the end of the day he also has an immigrant wife, so we know that he doesn't really mean anything and he just has an old-fashioned sense of humor. His wife is from Guatemala and they've been married for the past 15 years. My parents and I have always found their relationship a bit weird because my uncle had only been dating his wife for about 6 months before they ended up getting married, and about a month later we found out that it was actually a shotgun wedding because she was pregnant and she didn't want to have the baby without having the security of marriage. So that's how they got married, and they've been together ever since. I mean, if it works, it works, but my parents and I were joking in private that we were pretty sure that his wife married him for the green card because the timing was just weird. But it's a private joke, we would never say it in front of him and we would never want to hurt him like that. However, it did come up and I was the one to bring it up because he picked on my fiancé at my engagement party, and I thought that was the last straw because at my engagement party? No way. I was not going to let him get away with that. Basically we were all chatting and laughing and everything, just having a generally good time, when all of a sudden he started joking about how my fiancé is going to be glad when we are finally married, because then she'll finally have the green card. I found that very offensive, and my fiancé's parents were sitting right there, so that was even more insulting. So I hit right back at him laughing, trying to make a big joke out of it, and asked him if he was concerned about me because that's exactly what happened to him. I told him that there was no need for him to be worried because my girlfriend and I had already been together for quite a while, and I was definitely not marrying her because she was pregnant, and she was not marrying me for a green card. So that was that. He didn't say anything to it, he just laughed, but it was a fake laugh very obviously, and for the duration of the party he didn't say much, and he left quite early as well. I didn't think about it after that, but then, last evening my parents called me up and informed me that something insane had happened, and apparently my uncle had shown up at their house and he was going to stay with them for a little while because he had had a huge fight with his wife, and he had said that he was going to speak to his lawyer and filed for a divorce because apparently he had been living a lie for the past 15 years and he couldn't do it anymore. Basically, the joke that I made at the party hitting back at him kind of made certain things click for him, and when he went back home he decided to confront his wife about whatever he had been thinking of after the joke I made. He said that I did have a point, even if I was trying to make it look like it was just me trying to be funny. Because after all, even though they had been together for 15 years, the beginning of their relationship was actually very abrupt and rocky, and he couldn't forget that even though they have a child together, and even in the past 15 years, he doesn't think that they have had many moments of substantial love and affection together, but he has always stayed, and he has never let these thoughts cross his mind, because at the end of the day they are married, and they have a child together, and that's all that there is. But now that I had brought it up, he couldn't pretend that he didn't see it anymore, and he asked his wife to be honest with him, and tell him if she had really married him for the green card, and if she had actually gotten pregnant on purpose somehow so she would be able to convince him to get married within just 6 months of a relationship. So they had a huge fight about it, and in the end she kind of acknowledged that that might have been the scenario in the beginning, but slowly along the way she really fell for him, and even if he doesn't feel it, she does love him. She's just not very obvious about it because that's not her culture or whatever, which I don't really buy. But anyway, that's what's been going on. Them and my uncle apparently broke down by telling my parents about all of this, and I was really shocked to learn this because obviously we used to joke about how this might have been the case, but we never really thought that it actually was the case, and now I don't know, I feel kind of weird because in some weird way I feel like I'm responsible for this, because I'm the one who made that joke in the first place. I don't think I should have said it publicly. I think I should have just called him out on it in a different way. Maybe I should have just said that it was not appropriate for him to have said what he did about the green card situation. I should have probably just left it at that instead of attacking him personally or whatever. I don't know, I just feel guilty. I know it's not reasonable or rational for me to feel guilty right now because at the end of the day it's not me who lied to anybody. I did not create the situation, his wife did. I just pointed it out, and that's what made him come to that realization, and that's the only part that I'm a bit iffy about. I've spoken to my fiancée about it and she thinks that I don't have anything to worry about and I don't even need to feel so overly guilty about everything. But I just can't help you see because keeping aside all inappropriate jokes that he makes, he really did help us out last year and I can't let go of that and I feel weirdly responsible for his divorce if he goes through with it and also about the fact that this is going to affect his child as well and I don't want that. I feel like I'm breaking apart a family indirectly and even though nobody is blaming me for it, I can't help thinking about it myself. Basically what I'm trying to say is that I really need some reassurance and that's why I came here because I think some unbiased and objective opinions would do me a world of good so I can take my mind off of it. So what do you guys think? Am I the one responsible for any of this? Ida for joking about my uncle's marriage and making him realize that he needs to get a divorce now? Edit? Okay, so a lot of people wanted to know exactly what had happened last year that has made such a strong bond with my uncle that I'm so forgiving towards him. And I didn't want to talk about it because it's kind of personal but I guess if it's relevant then I'll just say it out loud. So last year my fiancé and I got scammed by somebody we used to trust and after that person went missing in action. But obviously we lost a lot of money and it was a huge financial loss for us. At that point in time my parents were trying to help me out but it was actually my uncle who really bailed me out. My parents are both retired and my uncle is my dad's younger brother and he's done well for himself. However, we don't generally take money even from family but my uncle insisted and he was able to get us out of a pretty tough spot. Since then of course we have tried many times to pay him back but he has always waved it off telling us that we are family and that we don't need to worry about things like this. So you see he's not really a bad guy, he's just kind of insensitive and well, we try to bear with it to the best of our abilities. He thinks he's really funny, that's his only fault basically, so yes we don't mind him much really. Update 1. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since my first post here and a lot of you have reached out to me. Many of you have commented and basically nobody thinks that I'm the one to blame here. That is a huge relief to be very honest because I had really been dealing with a very guilty conscience for the past couple of days. However now I feel slightly better. I don't feel that responsible anymore and I definitely don't think that I'm the one at fault. I have been considering visiting my parents for the past couple of days so I could see my uncle and just check up on him. I haven't done it yet. I haven't even contacted him yet because I honestly don't even know what I would say to him. I mean the fact that I was the one who made the joke that made him realize certain things that is still a fact. I can't change it. So I don't know, it might be a bit awkward to just go and see him right now and I'm just trying to procrastinate and delay it for as long as possible. But I know eventually I'm going to have to go and see him because at the end of the day I'm still going to have to visit my parents. I've spoken to them and they told me that he's not doing very well. He's very depressed. He's been working from home but his heart is not in it. He's just very upset about everything that's going on and obviously that's natural given how he has been with this woman for 15 years and he has just found out that the beginning of their relationship was based on a total lie. I don't even know why she had to admit it. I guess she just felt bad trying to fool him for so long and everything. I don't know what it was. I don't know what made her tell him that. I don't know if it was for the best or not but it sure has stirred up a lot of trouble now. Not just for him but also for her. Apparently according to my parents she's been trying to get in touch with him ever since he moved out but he's been totally unresponsive. He's been speaking to my cousin of course but he doesn't really understand what's going on. He hasn't been told the explicit details of what caused all this drama between his parents which is natural given he's just around 15. So it doesn't make sense to tell him. He's much too young to understand but at least his father is in touch with him so that's a redeeming factor. However, he is completely refusing to speak to his wife. He has made it very clear that he wants to be alone right now and he doesn't have anything to say to her. He needs to clear his head to think straight about what he wants and it's pretty likely that he's going to file for a divorce. Nobody knows if he has spoken to a lawyer yet or not and my parents haven't asked yet because he seems very upset so they don't think that it's the right time to talk to him about any of this. Basically everybody is just unsure of everything and his wife keeps trying to get in touch with him and keeps trying to get my parents to help her out and get him to talk to her but my parents have refused to get involved in any capacity apart from letting him stay with them. She's obviously very upset too. My parents told me that she has been crying a lot. She has been yelling at them, accusing them of not caring about his happiness, letting him make such a huge mistake but at the end of the day he's an adult man. He's free to make his own decisions and all my parents are doing is just supporting him in whatever he chooses and I think that's totally fine. Besides, I don't think that it would be wise for my parents to get involved either. I don't think it would change anything. I think it would only make my uncle get upset with my parents too. I don't know. It's all very confusing at the moment. I have no idea what's going to happen in future. I don't even know what to expect. I guess a couple of days later I might go and pay them a visit but for now I think I'll just keep my distance because I don't know what to say. I don't have anything to say to anybody because honestly I'm in a very awkward position. Thankfully my aunt has not tried to call me yet. She's not made any attempts to contact me. I'm very grateful for that because I guess she realizes that talking to me is not going to help anything. So I guess I'll just have to wait for a couple of days and see for myself what happens in this situation. Update 2. Hey, so today I decided to finally go and pay my parents a visit and also speak to my uncle for the first time since that incident. I don't know how he had been doing because I hadn't interacted with him directly. Whatever information I had about him, it was whatever I heard from my parents, and I had assumed that he was not doing well, but today when I met him it really hit me how badly he was doing. It was clear that he had not been sleeping well. He had purple bags under his eyes. He hadn't shaved properly, and usually he's very careful about these things. He also didn't even sound very well. His voice was very weak. I just felt really bad when I saw him like that. I thought that he was going to be upset with me. I thought that maybe he was going to reject the opportunity to speak to me, but instead he was very normal with me. In fact, he didn't even bring up the whole thing, and I was actually the one to speak about it first. In the beginning he was just talking about random things, trying to make small talk and everything, and eventually I was the one to address the issue. I told him that I knew somewhere deep down I was the one who had said what I said that day, and that was what led to this chain of events, and I told him that maybe it was not the right thing to do. I'm still confused, but I wanted him to know that it was never intended to create such a huge misunderstanding or whatever it is between him and his wife. And then he told me he wasn't even thinking about it like that, and he told me that he was the one who had been out of line because he knew he had been making way too many jokes that had not landed well with us, and he had looked back on it later on and really realized his mistake, but he was too embarrassed to reach out to me or my fiancé, so he just stayed silent. Plus on top of that he was also having personal issues, so he didn't speak about it. He also told me that I had nothing to worry about. He did not hold me responsible. He thought it was silly of me to think that I was responsible for this in any way whatsoever. I only spoke the truth. I only said what I had noticed and that it was not my fault that it turned out to be the truth, and quite an unpleasant one at that. So that was a huge load off my chest, and after that we were able to speak easily. He said he was really sorry for making all those jokes and said he thought he was being funny, but later on after reflecting on it he realized he had only been very inappropriate, and he realized it was probably out of respect for him and out of decency that we did not say anything. I also told him I was really thankful that he had helped us out, and he told me that I didn't have to think about that, and if that was the reason I had been holding back from saying anything beforehand, then it was really unnecessary and stupid of me because he just did what any decent family member would do, and he did not want me to think about it too much. He said that he didn't even think of it as a favor, and he seemed mildly offended that I was thinking of that as a reason not to correct him publicly and unabashedly when he was going wrong, and the conversation actually went a lot smoother and better than what I had expected, because I thought that he was going to be fussy and grumpy and annoyed about the whole thing. I really expected him to be upset with me, but I guess I had the wrong impression of him for all this while. Honestly, I guess until you get into such difficult situations with people you don't even know how they really are, but my uncle is a good person, really. I mean, if anything, this interaction just proved it, because more than anything else he's willing to learn from his mistakes and he's willing to acknowledge that he has made mistakes. I think that's a big thing in itself. Anyway, after we spoke about all of that we were pretty much in a good place. I asked him about how he was dealing with everything and if he really intended on getting divorced, and he told me that after thinking everything through he had decided it would be for the best, because after everything that had happened, after everything he had learned about his wife, he couldn't possibly be with her anymore and pretend that everything was normal. And I also learned that I probably shouldn't judge situations or marriages on the basis of how they appear, because apparently he had always felt there was something off about their relationship, but he had never acknowledged it because, like I said, they had been together for 15 years, so he didn't think that it was worth it, and also because they had a child together, so naturally he had ignored whatever he thought was off, and he just convinced himself that this is love. This is how it feels, and sometimes it's mundane and sometimes you just have to accept it. But while we were talking, he told me he had never really felt like she really loved him, and even for himself he never felt like he had the kind of love for her that other people seem to have for their life partners, and now that he knows the truth he thinks it's only for the best to give himself and his wife a real and fair chance at life and love. He told me that he's obviously very let down, but at the end of the day he forgives her because she was just desperate. Maybe out of desperation she did something really stupid and cruel. However, after that she had always been a good wife. She had tried to be the best in terms of both being a wife and a mother, and she had done justice to both roles, but that didn't mean that he had to stay with her. And he told me he was planning on filing for joint custody of his child, and he was going to pay her a respectable alimony and child support so she can go on with her life, but he's not going to have any sort of relationship with her anymore outside of co-parenting. He was quite down in the dumps while talking about it, and I tried my best to comfort and console him, but honestly, what do you say to somebody who's just been in a situation like this? Anyway, in the end we parted on a good note, and I really hope that things end up well for him because he's an alright guy really, and it's bad that he's going through all of this, but honestly there's not much anybody can do right now. He has made up his mind about getting a divorce, and I think all I can hope for now, all we can pray for, is that it's a smooth process. He doesn't have to go through too much trouble, and he doesn't suffer emotionally anymore. I think the poor guy has been through enough. I think he deserves to catch a break. I'm going to keep in regular contact with him now. I'm going to make sure that I check up on him every once in a while, and next week I'm going to come and visit with my fiancé and make sure he's doing all right. Anyway, thank you to everybody who read my update. Thank you to everybody who had advice for me. It really means a lot. Update 3. Hi, so it's been a couple of weeks since my previous update, and while my uncle's divorce is in the works now, it's official. He's spoken to his lawyer and everything, and it's happening. He's obviously very sad, and he even wanted to move out of my parents' place. He said he didn't want to trouble them anymore, but my dad did not allow him. He said he was in too bad of a condition to be living on his own right now, and in this emotional state there was no way that he was going to let him go. So they insisted he stayed with them, and he's been quite overcome with emotion every time he sees us lately. It's really sweet of him, to be very honest. He also gets visits from his son every weekend and sometimes on weekdays after school. He has to come by himself since his mom is not going to drop him off or pick him up, since it's just a few blocks of a walk for him. Still, I feel like it's a bit traumatic, because how does she expect things to work after the divorce is finalized and she needs to co-parent and my uncle's not living with my parents anymore? Anyway, that's for her to think about. I'm obviously not going to be saying anything because she made it very clear. She holds me responsible for all of this. She sent me a very angry email a couple of days ago accusing me of ruining her marriage, accusing my family of ruining her life, telling us that she was going to hope and pray that we would never be happy after this. It was very weird because I didn't understand her reaction. Nobody had forced her to tell him the truth. She could have pretended that what I had said was just a joke and told my uncle not to worry too much, but she's the one who chose to tell him the truth. So now she has to face the consequences of letting him on the reality of their marriage. That's not my fault. I just pointed out the obvious, and my uncle is smart enough to realize that, and he doesn't blame me, but for whatever reason she thinks that it's all my fault, and she's welcome to do so. She just wants to dodge accountability by blaming me and my family. That's pretty clear, and if that helps her, then so be it. We know the truth, that's good enough for us. Anyway, we're just hoping that the divorce comes through soon, and so far she's not been showing any signs of trying to put up a fight or whatever. I think she's pretty much resigned to the fact that she's going to end up divorced, so she doesn't want to waste any time and resources and money on the thing. She probably just wants to get it over with, and as it is, she's going to be getting alimony and child support. She's good to go, so she doesn't have anything to worry about. Anyway, whatever, we're just hoping that this is an easy process for my uncle, and I hope that this doesn't affect his relationship with his son too much. So far it doesn't appear that it's going to happen because his son has been pretty mature about the whole thing. He seems to understand that his parents need to separate for their own good, and he's not involved in any drama or whatever. That's a good thing. I just hope that it stays like that after everything too. Update 4. So hey everybody, it's been a few months since my previous update, and guess what? My fiancé and I are married now. We got married just a few weeks back, and we're heading off to our honeymoon soon. We are planning on paying it out of our own pockets, but as my wedding gift. My uncle decided to fund our trip, and he even upgraded us to business class on our flight both ways. I mean, I really can't be more thankful to this guy. I told him that he didn't have to do all this, but he told me he wanted to make up for all those stupid jokes that he had made, and he wanted us to know that he was really sorry about it. It's really sweet of him. He's in a better place now emotionally because he got divorced just a few weeks before we got married. It finally came through. He's doing better now. 3 months ago he even moved out of my parents' place. He got his own place, and he seems a lot better now. He still makes silly jokes, but nothing offensive. I'm really happy that I spoke to him and sorted everything out because I really do value him in my life. I like my uncle, and yeah, he's a good guy. I'm not saying it's going to work out for everyone who has ever been in a situation like this with a family member who has been a bit problematic. One joke at my engagement party sparked a confession 15 years in the making. What began as laughter turned to accusations, regrets, and secrets that shattered a marriage, leaving me wondering if defending my fiancé cost him his entire family forever.